All right, we are live. Let's give everyone a minute to show up. If you haven't met me before, my name is Adam Mossseri. I'm the head of Instagram. I'm taking over the @creators account today to do a quick live with some of the amazing people behind the show Generation, which is on HBO, and I highly recommend. Zelda, one of the creators, and Chase, who plays Riley, are going to join in a second. Lots of other people are requesting to join. Sorry, this is not going to be one of those open free-for-alls, but I will hopefully take any and all questions as we go along. Hope everyone's doing all right on this Thursday. I know a lot of stuff is going on out there in the world. Sending a lot of love to all of you. Also, it is Pride Month, so I want to make sure that we're celebrating the LGBTQ plus community. There's a lot of queer identifying or queer adjacent characters in Generation, so we thought it would be fun to do this live. All right, let's see if we can find some folk. Start with Chase. Nope, still can't see her yet. While I wait, why don't any of you that have questions, ask them using the poll. That way I can find them later and we can do it together. Oh, there's Chase adding her. And then now adding Zelda.
Hello.
Hi, sorry,
Hi there.
I'm looking from hunting and pecking.
I think I pressed the request to join.
You did good. You did good. There's this 52 other requests to go live on this account, which is
wow. Everyone's trying to get in. Hello.
Oh no, I get the big box. I feel like this is I feel like the guest should have the big box. Oh no, we lost Chase.
My Wi-Fi might be a little slow too. I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too shabby. I appreciate you doing this.
Of course. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. Why don't I ask you a question real quick while we try to get Chase back, who we totally just lost. All right. So you are the co-creator, co-founder of this show. Can you tell me a little bit how? You're 19 years old. The show is a complete hit. It's amazing. It's on HBO, which is, I think, the pinnacle of TV. How?
Thank you so much. So I kind of had the idea when I was 15. I came out to my parents and I just started thinking a lot about how I wasn't really seeing myself represented in media. A lot of the queer stories that I was seeing in media were very there were stories of like suffering and torture and pain, and I wasn't seeing a lot of queer joy celebrated on screen, and I really wanted to just, as a young queer person, see that and see myself and feel kind of like I was reflected authentically in a TV show. And so I decided to kind of like try creating something, and yeah, I started writing it, and it was so much fun. It was an amazing process, and I'm really glad that it's finally out and seeing the light of day. Yeah.
And Chase, how'd you end up getting attached to the project?
So I was pulled in last minute. I was pulled in about, I would say, Zelda, maybe 36 hours is a generous amount of time for, I was cast super last minute and flew out to LA and met everybody. And during my callback, I had an allergic reaction, so I was actually in the hospital, and I quite literally like ripped out my IVs because you're supposed to like stay in the hospital overnight after you have an allergic reaction so they can check. I was literally went into anaphylactic shock, but I have a theory that adrenaline gave me the confidence to get into my audition, and yeah, Daniel and Zelda were on the other side, and
that's pretty badass. Just like ripping IVs out of your arm, hopefully you're not bleeding, just going into was it a callback or initial? That's pretty nuts.
It was wild. It was wild.
You play Riley in the show. For those of maybe because some of our viewers here maybe don't watch the show, talk a little bit about her character and kind of what it's like to sort of try and embody her.
Yeah. So Riley is a very kind of guarded girl. She's her emotional EQ is like not in the best shape of its life. I think when we find her, she's going through a lot of tumultuous waters at home, and her parents are kind of at war with each other, and she's the kind of character who is really hiding that all the time. So a big thing that Daniel and Zelda kind of pushed for Riley, and Daniel's directing style too is like what Riley is battling against and how she's presenting versus how she is, how she sees herself as a person, and versus like how people kind of perceive her. So that was always really, really fun to play with, is like that push and pull of like this kind of carapace of steel and this mask that Riley puts up, versus what's actually happening underneath the surface.
Well, you do an amazing job. You definitely pull that off.
Thank you, Adam.
Maybe flipping it back to you, Zelda. So you have this idea where you want to see more queer joy represented in sort of media more broadly, it sounds like, which by the way is an awesome thing and feels great even just to hear during Pride Month. What's it like now seeing, like, I don't know, do you sit and actually watch it? Is that painful or is that fun? And how is it to just try to process all the things that happen between like an idea when it sounds like you were 15, you said?
Yeah, I was 15.
To like the high production value, HBO rich sort of thing is on the other side of that.
It's definitely very unbelievable. I mean, I don't sit and watch it when the episodes come out just because I'm on set and I see all the scenes done in so many different ways, and I do watch cuts too. I watch cuts as we're kind of editing, and so I have seen, by the time the episodes come out, I've seen different variations of the episode, like probably 6 or 7 times. So I don't usually sit and watch them, but it's really amazing to see kind of all these amazing people who work on this show. Our cast and crew are incredible, and to see them all kind of working towards the same goal of creating a project that emphasizes queer joy, that's been very, very rewarding for sure.
Do you feel like since then much has changed? Like, do you feel like you see enough celebration of queer joy, whether it's, I don't know, TV, film, any music?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think that there are a lot of shows. A lot of the shows that I watch, I feel like really celebrate queer joy, are actually reality shows like RuPaul's Drag Race and Queer Eye. I love those. And it's funny, I definitely think that it's definitely gotten better. I do see a lot more, not just representation, but celebration on screen. And yeah, that's really exciting to me. I think that's so important for queer youth to feel like they see themselves happy and experiencing joy and love on camera. Yeah, definitely very rewarding.
Yeah, I feel like it was huge just in reading the script, the moment that we all got the script, like seeing all these queer-centric stories that were not based in tragedy and not based in the struggle. And also, like, it's amazing to get to like cosplay, like being in this community of queer young people who don't, the main driving storyline is not that they're queer. It's totally multifaceted and totally paints like a fuller picture of these characters. So that was
no, it's amazing because it's always not to have the same story and have it all be centered on the queerness, but rather just like you have a life. Let's talk about life. Let's talk about your trials, your tribulations, your joys, your passions.
Yeah.
I'm curious, just because obviously I got a bias here. I don't know, for either of you, how does not just necessarily Instagram, but social media in general, like play into either coming up with the idea or writing this kind of thing or performing in this kind of show or even doing what you do more broadly?
Definitely. I definitely think that through social media, I was exposed to kind of a lot of queer people's opinions about various aspects of queer culture that kind of made me realize that a lot of the shows and movies and books that I was kind of consuming were very focused on stories of queer pain. And kind of through talking to other people about that on social media, particularly Instagram, I definitely did kind of realize, like, oh, actually, like, there should just kind of be a show where queer kids exist in a space, in like a very joyful, happy space. And I definitely think also with this show in particular, I mean, social media and digital communication play a role in kind of how we transition from different characters' perspectives. We have, for example, scenes where a character will send a text and then we'll change perspectives, or a character will like post something and then we'll be in someone else's perspective. It's like it kind of jumps around using social media and using modern digital communication as kind of a device for storytelling.
Yeah, I love that. And in terms of using it for acting, I have for every character I played, and for this one, I have like 17 different Riley folders. I have like Riley makeup, Riley hair, Riley ink.
Collections? You just saving all the
So
stuff?
collections so specific to the point where it's very difficult to navigate. Like I Riley quotes, like and yeah, I literally so many different things. Like I think I have one like Riley car, like a car that Riley would like. So I use those folders a ton, and for all my characters, I think it's so helpful. I mean, the amount of subcultures that like exist on Instagram is like infinitely inspiring. I mean, it's like I feel like YouTube was like a big kind of resource for actors to use to see like real people doing real things. Now, I mean, on Instagram, and especially this show being so technology like centric, you see like how every single subculture in America is like presenting themselves through their Instagram page, and which is so important in how, I mean, all these characters navigate through the world, especially Riley, who's like a photographer and is very like has this outward facing persona that is, you know, different than what's inside. And so that all those like Instagram subcultures are just like a gold mine, I feel like, for actors and writers too, to see, you know, how are these real people not only presenting themselves, but how, like, what are they doing day to day? What's their life like?
I love it. I also just love that I found someone else who uses collections obsessively like I do, because I feel like
You do that too.
I've got one for everything that I'm interested in the world. What I really want to do is actually, we haven't done this yet. We're not currently working on it, but we're exploring it. Is allow you to share them if you want, because you can spend all this time making this amazing thing, and maybe it would be, I don't know, cool to just share it with someone.
It's like sharing a playlist. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. Would you want to share it? How would you want to share it? Would you want to like post it for everyone, or do you want to like DM it to someone? What would you want to do?
Yeah, I would want to like directly DM it to people. I think that would be so cool.
DM it, post it to my story, and you could click through.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, because I'm sure some of the team is also listening in. I don't know if you could change anything about Instagram. What would you change? And you can both go, I guess.
Wow. That is a lofty question.
It doesn't have, you don't have to be that confident. It could just be a thing.
I would this might be controversial. I would change being able to rescind DMs, because I think if you slide into the DMs,
you commit.
Own that.
That is controversial, but I love it.
I'm trying to think about my answer. I guess, well, I really like the development that you can change the visibility of your likes. You can change on your account who can see how many likes your posts have gotten. I really like that. I think that's cool. So that you're not like basing the worth of your posts based on like numbers. I definitely think that was a cool change. So I think a while ago I probably would have said that one, but I like that that's happened.
That one took so long to get out the door. I'm sorry for that, but I'm really excited we finally did launch it. The team that was working on it just got totally sideswiped last year by doing a bunch of work to try and, you know, encourage people to wear a mask and stay home, and a lot of work on racial equity in the wake of all the unrest last year, particularly in the U.S. here.
Yeah.
But we did finally get out. So we don't usually do code names for projects because they always leak, and then you end up just having to explain it and looking silly. But the code name for that one I did really like, which was Daisy. The idea of being like, you remember, like, you know, he loves me not, she loves me not, like, you know, kids used to do, at least when I was a kid. Maybe I'm dating myself right now. So that project we affectionately internally called Daisy, and it took, you know, 1.5 years to get out the door.
That's so cool. That's amazing.
Can you pick if you are people?
Oh yeah, see, this is education, contextual education. You can decide two different things. You can decide if you just want to turn off like count so you don't see how many likes are on any given post as you scroll, and like you can do that as the, you know, it's your choice now.
Yeah.
You can also turn off like counts on one of your posts if you want, though, as a producer. So there's one from like the viewing side, there's one from the sharing side. So you actually have both. This is so I thought this was a big deal. I mean, I still think it's a big deal, but it didn't change how people use Instagram much, and it didn't change how people feel about Instagram much. But man, were people they just felt super strongly about it one way or the other. I got a lot of hate in both directions. So we figured, all right, well, let's give people a choice. Let them decide how to make Instagram into what's best for them. You all probably know what's better for you than we do. So why not just turn it? Why not flip it?
Well, because I feel like ideologically, you're like, I will totally like not place all my validation in my like number anymore. But like you, I don't know, you still like you still have the sentiment of like.
It's hard. I switch back and forth.
Do you know what I feel like really changed my use of Instagram is being able to mute people's stories without unfollowing them. Huge, definitely the like biggest like change in my like interaction with Instagram.
The other one I'll plug real quick. If you don't, you know what restrict is?
No.
So we started working on bullying because bullying is it's a problem. It's disproportionate affects young people. It happens on Instagram like it happens everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's crazy compared to when I was a kid is that when I was a kid, if I was getting bullied, I got bullied. You could go home and you were safe, right? Now, if you're getting bullied, you're connected all day, all night. So there's no real reprieve. And so we asked a lot of young teenagers, like, well, why don't you just? What do you do? How do you deal with it? And why don't you block people? And they said two things. They said, one, it's going to just escalate because I'll find out that they were blocked. And then, like, I'm going to see them tomorrow or whatever, or on Snap or somewhere else. And then the other is they wanted to be able to track what the person was saying about them because they're talking shit and you need to know what's going on. So we built this thing called Restrict, which essentially is like a shadow block. So when they comment on your stuff, it looks like they commented, but no one can see it unless you approve it. And when they DM you, it goes into the request folder so that you can read it without sending a red receipt, and you can decide when you want to deal with it, when you want to deal with it. And there's no way for them to find out about it. So if you're ever getting harassed, which I hope doesn't happen to you, but if it ever does happen, it's a helpful one.
That's great. I really like receiving DMs and reading them, but not necessarily showing them that you've seen it. That in the request folder. That's huge too.
Yeah, that's actually the key bit for me. We should probably go back to generation though. We're talking about Instagram too much. I don't know how you're feeling about it. It sounds like you guys are teasing part 2, which is exciting. I don't know. It kind of feels like you're at this moment where you've sort of established that you've got something special, and that's amazing. But then does it feel like more pressure? Does it feel like less pressure as you're sort of going into the next chapter and figuring out what's next?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so the first 3 episodes of Block 2 are out starting today on HBO Max. I definitely would say that it's like super exciting. At the moment, I feel less pressure at the moment just because I don't know, I feel like when like the very first episodes were coming out, nobody really knew like what the show was. I think there was a lot of pressure to like accurately kind of talk about it in a way that made sense. And I feel like now that kind of people understand what we're referencing when we discuss certain aspects of the show, there's kind of like less pressure to like always get everything completely right, if that makes any sense, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's also nice in I feel like in Block 2 you're really able, I mean, this was the idea from the start, and Zelda, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're able to like sit with each of the characters and really get like situated in their headspace. And the first block is so slice of life in this like beautiful way, and it really captures everyone who like all my friends who are from California or the Anaheim area are like, this is exactly captures like the slice of life of what it's like to drive around in Orange County. But I feel like the second block allows you to like really sit with the characters and become their brain in an awesome way. And episode 14 for Riley. So keep it up.
I'm excited now. Today, that is a big deal. So if you have watched Block 1, check out Block 2 starting today. But if not, I highly recommend getting into it. I don't know. Maybe you don't have an HBO account. Borrow your friend's password. Don't tell HBO I said that. But it's good. It's really, really good. I can attest to that. Anything?
Thank you.
Sorry, go.
Oh, I was just saying thank you. I think my Wi-Fi is a little spotty.
No worries. Anything y'all want to know from me, or any feedback you have for what we do here at Instagram?
I love this app. I'm a big I love how you guys are celebrating Pride. I love all the lives that you guys are doing on this account this month too. It's really
No, we just want to show up as much as we can.
great.
Absolutely.
All right, in the comments, you got things like, okay, new episodes come out every Thursday is one question. Is that right?
Oh,
I know it's starting
yeah.
with the first 3, but after that, you got some fans in here. Man, there's a lot of comments. They're really fast. They want to know more about episode 14. Is what I'm seeing.
Maybe I've said too much is what these comments are telling me. Oh no. Was that okay?
All right, we'll leave it at that.
But they come out every Thursday, but it's actually really Wednesday at midnight. So that's the mark your calendar. Wednesday.
Eastern or Western? Because you're on the East Coast and you're on the West Coast, yeah?
Oh, actually, I think it's Eastern. Zelda more. Just stay up. Just stay awake Wednesday night. Easter Wednesday.
Just stay up, just as long as it takes. As long as it takes. All right. We're losing Zelda, but we're also out of time. So I just want to say a huge thank you to both of you. Such a big fan of what you all do, and just appreciate you showing up here for a little bit and hanging out. For those of you who don't follow these two, Zelda's on at the Generation handle right now, but her actual handle is Zelda Barnes, Barnz. So follow her as well. And just, I don't know, happy Pride. Keep doing the amazing stuff you do.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure, Chase. Peace.